Hello, my audience. Today I want to tell you a story about getting golden bolts and detoxing. And this is a very, fictional story, and it's a science fiction story about beings called the green beings. And green beings are these robots or androids, and they have bolts in them. And you have to screw new bolts into these beings, kind of like human beings have to eat food. And if you don't screw new bolts into these beings start to leak, this substance, this oily type of thing. And it's a very, a different kind of existence for these beings than for human beings. And one of these beings has decided that he will live without bolts, kind of like living without food. And there's one being who is like glorified, in this, system. He appears very seldomly, and this being that has decided that I will live without bolts notices this being, like, holy shit, look at these beings, bolts and armor and that kind of stuff. These beings have something called the frame, and the frame is the thing that you kind of bolt the thing into, in the same way that you have a body and then you eat food. Two people can eat the same food but have different effects because their body is different. So in the same way, two robots or two green beings, they can be bolted with different bolts or the same bolts, and the effects are kind of, individual. But there are a lot of, these just beings that live on the shittiest bolts, ever, they're copper and that kind of stuff. And they are the shittiest, thing that you can get. And they are, just clanking along just barely, And this being just, is so powerlessly, starving, so to say. And he just sits there. And then, there comes, clanking around, this guy with the shittiest bolts ever. And he just said, you should be getting yourself some bolts, my man. Get some shitty ones, it won't matter. Those freaking golden, freaking decorative, best thing ever bolts, like that fucker has, the millionaire fucker. They don't even worth it, You're gonna live just fine with these city bolts. Look, I'm clanking along. And it's literally, it's like clanking along. And the guy just said, no, I think I'm better living off without bolts if that's how it is. Because I had shitty bolts one time and it was horrible. And then there comes this a very, developed, robot or green being with the fanciest, diamond bolts, and this guy, the frame of the guy is just, magnificent, and the bolts that are bolted into it, because these are the things that give the beings the power and the energy to do stuff in the world. And he comes to the guy and says that, something, my man, I used to be exactly like you when I was younger. And then the being's like, what? You used to be like me? You didn't have bolts? And then the guy says, exactly, I went through the detoxing process. I let go of it all and I got myself these. And he shows, these bolts, they're all gold, and, the light when it comes, glitters on them. Like, it's beautiful. It's like another reality for certain. And this guy, he's just, so impressed, and he asks, how am I going to get myself some bolts like that? And he says, well, if you're worthy of them, they are gonna come to you. You just sit there and you will get those bolts. And then he vanishes, and no bolts manifest, he's just sitting there and, nothing happens. And then at some point, he surfaces again from I don't know where he goes, probably to some underworld, to do some shady dealings. But, it's glorious. It's just the most glorious being that you will ever see, he's like freaking glittering, this guy. And then he comes around again, and he like asks again, this guy's just, even more, desperate, there's no good bolts, to be like bolted into this guy, the guy just said, it's just like, it's not working, like nothing is happening, no bolts are flying to me, like what is fucking going on? Do I have to fucking end up in some junkyard, with this frame? And the really fancy guy with the fanciest bolts just said, no, I just, kind of miss, told you the truth. The truth is that everybody, gets their golden fancy bolts kind of different way. So you can't really, if I just told you what I did and you replicated it, it wouldn't make you like so rich and famous that you would be able to get this stuff. And it just won't happen. So then the guy's like so beat up, He's oh, holy shit, then I don't have any fucking hope. And no, it's just no, you have hope, but you just have to figure it out yourself. You can't rely on any outside help. And the guy's like, yeah. I'm not gonna rely on any outside help. I'm just gonna figure it out on myself, And he starts to figure it out himself. It's a mystery if he will actually find those golden bolts and if they were actually in the end worth it, because in human society there's this like American dream, and some of the people said, it wasn't worth it at all, holy shit, I should have become a fucking monk, Some monks said, no, your life's so much better, I'm just starving over here. Yeah. But here's a story for you. I hope you kind of realized something about your own life.